Well, Laura Rugless is Michigan State University's new Vice President for Civil Rights and Title IX Education and Compliance, and it's a pleasure to welcome her not only to the university, but to the show. Hello, Laura.
Hi, Russ. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Can you give us first some of your background? Where are you from, and what have you been doing until you're now at MSU?
Well, really, I've grown up on the East Coast. Most recently, I came from New York, but I'm originally from the Midwest. I was born in Chicago, and, my family moved to Baltimore, where I grew up. Then I was in Virginia for school and away for the Army, and came back to the East Coast, and now here I am back in the Midwest. So I feel I've kind of come full circle.
That's cool. So any past experience with either MSU or the state of Michigan by chance?
Well, when I was young, before we moved to the East Coast, we would come to Michigan occasionally for summer excursions. So that I don't really have a clear memory of that. So I'm looking forward to making some new memories here.
So what attracted you now to this position at MSU?
Well, during the process of recruitment, I learned, and had already known much about MSU, but really learned about what's been happening with the development of the program here over the past several years. And that was really astounding to me. I really was drawn in by that. And then as I met leadership, as I met members of the OCR team, really felt like this was the place where I should come and help galvanize the approach to civil rights, inclusive of Title IX, of course. But really, MSU is doing some really incredible things, and yet we know there's more to do, and we can learn how to do it better. And so that commitment, I think, further galvanized what I already felt.
And can you define Title IX for us? I think that confuses people sometimes, but I think you want to talk more about the overarching civil rights of which Title IX is a part.
Yes, and Title IX is a really important part. So Title IX is a federal civil rights statute that protects against sex discrimination. And that's sex discrimination is inclusive of gender identity, sexual orientation, but the statute reads sex discrimination in programs and activities that receive federal financial assistance. And so that's been around now since 1972, but there are other important civil rights protections that the office here is responsible for helping the university to honor. And those cover a gamut of protected identities, protected statuses, disability, for example, race, religion. And a lot of what the office is working on now are some enhancements to policy to both align with the law and to do as much as we can here at MSU through those policies to protect our community.
Well, Laura, talk more about the evolving mission of the office. What do you do? What are some of the issues you grapple with?
Well, we grapple with really anything that pertains to civil rights here. And we do it from a lens both of prevention, and then when there is an incident that's reported to our office, response and resolution through our processes. And I would like to say a little bit more about prevention, outreach, and education. That's really an exceptional approach here at MSU. In fact, I'm not aware of any other university that has a PO office, prevention, outreach, and education, like we do here at MSU. It's 15 people large, and they cover the university. They are delivering programs to all populations, to all units, and they're also actually helping other universities refine their prevention efforts as well.
So as you get started, what are some of your short-term goals, and maybe if you've had time to think about it, some longer-term ones?
Right. Well, short-term goal for me personally is to learn as much as I can about MSU and about OCR. And so I spent the past 3 weeks really focused on getting to know the team and learning what they do. And they're doing a lot. And so I still have a ways to go there. And then meeting as many people as I can. There's an RVSM advisory group, so I've been plugged into that. There's other groups I know I'll be plugged into as the school year gets underway. And then the vision for the office is really one that we'll all build together. But we have some initial ideas. So I've mentioned already the policy work. There's these operational things that need to happen. And they're sort of, that one's more outward facing, but there's some things kind of internal that will really, I think, help to further refine our operations. And they may not be as apparent to the MSU community. For example, changes in our case management system. And then really connecting across the university to build relationships, build upon collaborations that may already exist, and to develop a comprehensive civil rights plan for the university.
So what about as you pursue some of those, both some challenges and opportunities?
Well, I think challenge will always be that there's a lot to do, and identifying what are going to be the most impactful things to do for the university community, and how can we evolve to meet the university community's needs in the way that we need to. So I think it's really not finding what to do, but figuring out of what there is to do, what will be most important. I think it's, again, learning MSU, not just assuming because maybe something has worked well somewhere else that it will fit MSU, but also bringing some new ideas to MSU. And then meeting all the campus partners there are to meet. I've met a bunch of them. I want to get to know them and understand their work.
A big place.
Yeah. Understand their work and how we can build complementary processes and coordinate.
Well, because I think you made it clear when you were hired to, prevention is really your key motive and driver, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And there's a lot that can be done there and a lot that MSU is already doing. And then figuring out what is making the difference, right? We've had some really promising results in the No More survey, yes, which has demonstrated that there is a reduction in prevalence of relationship violence and sexual misconduct that our university community is reporting through that survey. And that's exciting. And knowing exactly what we may be doing to help drive those results, I think, will be really important. Whether we can figure that out or not, I don't know, but we're doing something. Yeah.
So, Laura, as you kind of get started, then summarize what you want us to know about the office and the mission as you take over.
Well, I'd like people to know that the office is, again, a comprehensive civil rights office. And so while Title IX is a really important part of it, we also have an office that's dedicated to ADA, so disability compliance and accessibility and inclusion. Some really exciting work happening there around digital accessibility in particular. And they're connected with campus partners who have been really engaged in the
probably
work around
Mike
disability.
Hudson, I bet, is involved.
The Resource Center for People with Disabilities, for example, another extraordinary thing that MSU has been doing for quite some time. And then we have other offices like institutional equity. We have the Prevention, Outreach, and Education Office. And so really figuring out how within the office we can complement each other's work is important to us, and to communicate that to the university community more and more. And Russ, let me add that we also have a support and equity team. And what this team does is really important to help people as they're experiencing something. They will provide supportive measures, which could include, for example, for students, academic accommodations. It could include no contact directives. And these are available to people regardless of whether they move through a complaint process or not.
Well, Laura, the new semester is on the horizon. What would you want incoming students to know?
Well, first, that MSU is a wonderful place. But in terms of relationship violence and sexual misconduct, research shows that that's a very high-risk time for people in the age categories of 18 to 21. And so we want our students to know that there's a lot of resources available to them here, both to prevent and should they experience any sort of incident, to support them through that. And they can learn a lot more through various websites and materials that we distribute. The website supportmore.msu.edu is a good place to start.
Indeed. Laura, again, welcome to the university, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Russ. Really glad to be here.
That's Laura Rugless, Michigan State University's Vice President for Civil Rights and Title IX Education and Compliance. And again, supportmore.msu.edu is a great place to start. You can also visit civilrights.msu.edu. And I'm Russ White. This is MSU Today.